Hello, friends, and welcome back. Today we have something special. We're going to talk to Andreas Lundström from Nordic Skalds about Yggdrasil Burns, an amazing Mork Borg or Mork Borg adaptation, bringing some darkness back to Viking role-playing. So if you're excited like I am, then please hit like and subscribe and all that other social media stuff. But I'm going to do something different. I'm going to hand over to Andreas. So with Devious Dungeons, Foreboding Forests, and the Coolest Cats, my name is Phil. Please hit like and subscribe, and welcome back to the Dark Orb. Now we're going to find out about the woe of the Skald.
O All-Father, where art thou? Tyr, why is the song of Tyrfing silenced? What god is mighty enough to stop Mjolnir? O Frigg, though Ragnarök has come, why has thine son not resurrected? Is the carpenter god mightier than all the Aesir together, that they are now all fettered in hell, while Fenrir and the serpent roam free? He has made rains of blood and fire fall upon us, and covered our land in ash and disease. For us now there is no life, only death. When the Christian god saw the Vikings raiding the monasteries and villages of his worshippers in England and France, his wrath knew no end, and his vengeance was swift. Fire rained down from the sky, burning all the fields and forests. A pestilence spread among the people of Scandinavia, and the rivers stopped flowing. The poisonous lakes became dark, and Jörd was corrupted, and the soil of Midgård, that is her body, was infected. The land no longer gave food, only death. The Aesir were bound and fettered, and their power over Scandinavia was broken. All is now laid waste, the people dead or dying. The only rain falling is that of ash.
We are blessed with an enormous bevy of Mork Borg games. But I think we've kind of lost the spirit. Some of the best games come out of Scandinavia, but they don't always feel Scandinavian. Today, we are joined by the incredible GM, esteemed role-playing author, and professional bard, Andreas Lundström from Sweden
Thank you.
Rolls and Nordic Skalds. Andreas, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for
How are
having
you?
me. Thank you. I was thinking, it sounded like you were gonna start with, we are blessed with Andreas Lundström, but you came back to it.
I was inclined almost to say, we are joined by a person, Andreas, esteemed
person.
creature.
Yeah.
How are you, my friend? It has been too long.
I'm good. It's been too long since we had a chat, for sure. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm actually very good. I'm very good. Except that we have a very bad pollen season here in Sweden right now, so that's why my voice is cracking up, and I'll probably do a cough and sneeze or two while we record this.
No, what we need to do is to define the character that you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's fine. So the NPC that you're currently playing is obviously someone with a bad cold.
Yes.
So Yggdrasil is burning.
Yeah, the world tree of the Norse saga world myths thingy. It's an ash tree.
Like such a professional.
Yeah, I know. I've rehearsed this beforehand, you know.
Well, maybe this is where we should start. So, I mean, obviously we have Yggdrasil Burns. This is just launched on Kickstarter. You've got over 100 backers so far in a time of recording. Obviously, we want that to launch off into the stratosphere. I've seen the alpha; it's great. Let's talk about the cast of incredible people that you've assembled to bring this project together. So there's this guy called Andreas. Tell me about him. And
Yeah,
what does he
I'm
do?
one of the co-founders of Nordic Skalds, a new publishing company from Sweden. We've done some third-party material for Dragonbane, Trace of Darkness, which is part 1 of an epic campaign for Dragonbane. We made a little cozy RPG, a comedy RPG called My Father's Sword. Oops, I have a Swedish version here, but
Well, you have to
My
say it in
Father's
Swedish
Sword.
then.
Yeah, Min Faders Svärd. Min Faders Svärd, yeah. So yeah, we've done that, and now we are moving into some third-party Mork Borg stuff with Yggdrasil Burns, and as you said, many Mork Borg products maybe have lost the original feeling of being like lost and there's no hope and everything wants to kill you and you don't really have a chance to stand up against anything.
Running it kind of rules as written, and the likelihood is you're going to need probably about 10 extra characters printed out because people are just gonna die.
Yeah.
And there's
That's
no
why we write. We have a character sheet pad as an add-on. It has 20 character sheets, and we write. This will last you, I don't know, a session or two.
If you're lucky. Yeah. One of the games, spoiler alert, one of the games that we recorded, one of the players died in the first scene, and that's something I love.
I mean, in Mork Borg, like a table leg. If it hits you in the face, it could kill you.
Yeah,
that's just
exactly
how it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's your good self, and then we have Christian Lindqvist.
Yeah, who does the graphic design and some of the illustrations. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Then we have
he's another co-founder of Nordic Skalds. So us two are the two Nordic Skalds who are involved in this project.
I like that you are the Nordic Skalds.
Yeah.
And we'll come back and talk about exactly what a Skald is in a second, because that's actually something that's vital to the background of this game or the context of the player characters.
Yeah.
And then we have this guy, Johan Nor.
Johan Nor,
I've met that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the co-creator of Mork Borg, the original game.
Yeah.
So he's responsible for everything like visible, I almost said. Like he did the art direction, graphic design, illustrations, all that stuff for the original game. For us, he's doing the art direction and he does the cover art and one or a few interior art as well.
Yeah. And you can see that straight from the offset. I mean, look at that cover; it's stunning. Having seen the alpha, I mean, you can see kind of Johan's blood runs through the game, as does yours, of course. So, then there is also very exciting with the stretch goals. Pelle Nilsson is helping out.
Yeah, exactly. If we reach our first stretch goal, which is at 100,000 Swedish kroner, for that first stretch goal, which is that Pelle Nilsson, who is the original creator and writer of Mork Borg, will write an introduction scenario, which will be included in the book. We have, of course, started talking about, like, if we reach it, what would it be and stuff like that. And I can assure you it's going to be really, really cool.
In terms of production value, I was mind blown when Traces of Darkness arrived. I knew it was going to be good, but honestly, I mean, this is one of the best produced third-party products I've ever seen. You can see some of it here. It has the look and feel of the Versen games in terms of the layout. Gorgeous. So even got the spot UV on the cover. I love it.
Yeah, Versen and also the One Ring were the big influences on choosing the both the paper and the cover. So Versen were actually printed by another printer, but we're using the same printer as Free League uses for the One Ring. But both Versen, the One Ring, and our Windheim products all have the same kind of almost like old parchment feel to the paper, and the cloth cover feel of the covers as well, the hard covers.
It's a
So we
stunning
really
product.
wanted to make a name for ourselves with our first products for Windheim, and just show that we mean business. If you buy a product from Nordic Skalds, it's going to be like a very high production value. Of course, with My Father's Sword, which shows that like a more low budget production cost, but that's because we want people to see My Father's Sword in a game store and just be so curious about it that it's going to be a no-brainer just to get it, because we want the cost in stores to be about 10 British pounds, something like that. So it should be like, or 9 or 10 British pounds. It should be like a no-brainer. Just I'll just take a chance at this. I mean, if all I get is a few beautiful pictures, then that's worth £9.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's a game I like, then I'm gonna feel like it's a great deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And that whole thing, we spoke about this. In fact, the last time you came on was for this game. The whole thing of a GM going, crap, I need to run a game this weekend. I want to do something different. That looks interesting. And it's such a simple rule set. And at the same time, different. That you can learn it pretty easily. But so, it has a very different feel to it.
With the Yggdrasil Burns, the game we're talking about today,
that we need to come back to.
That we need to come back to. Yeah,
well done.
We're combining this because we're bringing the production value of Windheim.
Yes.
I mean, the hard covers are going to be just like Mork Borg, like really, really good quality. We also have a limited edition version, which will be like faux leather. Is that what it's called? Yeah. With like metal foil stuff on it and metal foil page ends by your recommendation. And so the papers in the inlay will also be like very high quality paper. So we're bringing the high production value of Windheim and combining that with a game that you can learn in half an hour or an hour. Because Yggdrasil Burns will also be a game where you can just pick up and play it, basically. The GM section in the end will have everything a game master needs to run a game. You don't have to be, well educated in Norse myths and sagas to run this game, because we are taking kind of a Vaesen approach to history. Like we want it to be well grounded in actual myths and in history, but we don't want that to get in the way of people wanting to run it. So we don't actually say which year it is. The only thing we know is that Scandinavia has been burnt and razed by the Christian god as a revenge for the Vikings raiding the monasteries of England and France. So the Christian god has just gone and razed and burnt all of Scandinavia. So basically, Ragnarök, the end of the world, the apocalypse, has happened. This is like a post-apocalyptic game, basically, set in the Viking Age, which we call late Iron Age, but who's picky?
So that's,
but we don't in terms of like the game crunchiness, just like Mork Borg, the rules could be condensed down to a page, basically, and then there's a couple of pages for character creation. The rest is setting, ambience, some monsters, and a GM section, so GM can feel secure that you can pick up this game and basically just run it an hour after you read it.
Yeah, that's going to be great. It's going to be great. Would you like to explain in, I was going to say one word or less, just explain in one word or less. No, explain exactly what Yggdrasil is.
Yggdrasil is the world tree, the tree where all the 9 worlds of the mythical Norse mythology takes place, like Midgard, Asgard, Jotunheim, all of those places.
And fun fact, the Dark Orb logo, which I'm sure all of you know and love, and is in the corner of the screen, is a corrupted world tree. right there.
So you corrupted it, and then we set fire to it.
What more could we possibly want?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Match made in heaven.
And we'll drink to that. Skål. Hang on. So, okay, so to recap, the setting is late Iron Age, the Viking Age, and jealous Christian god has seen the, I guess, the success of the Viking gods and has sought his revenge by, as you said, raising the Scandinavian lands. So we're talking Sweden, Denmark, Norway.
We've included a quote about the raiding of Lindisfarne, the first monastery that was ever raided by the Vikings. There's a quote from 796 or whatever, a few years after that raid, a bit after the raid. So there's a quote on it, an old Anglo-Saxon quote on it, and we've included that.
It sets it up well, doesn't it? I mean, this is basically we're saying the Vikings invaded Lindisfarne.
Yeah.
Lindisfarne, as we call it here, and that therefore sets up the Christian gods'
vengeance
motive for revenge. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
because
great.
On the same spread on the second page, on the left-hand page we have the Lindisfarne quote, and on the right-hand page we have the vengeance, which is a quote from King James's Bible, basically what the Christian gods view on revenge is. But it's a quote from the Old Testament, of course. So, where the Christian God is slightly more vengeful and slightly more, vindictive and ruthless than the forgiving, loving God of the New Testament.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly that. So this is the setting. Let's talk a little bit about who we as players are.
Yeah. Just one last note on the setting. So the setting is only in Scandinavia, and everything's raised. The water's poisonous. The crops won't grow, and farm animals all die because the water's poisonous. So there's basically no food. So it's a post-apocalyptic. It's not a survival game because like finding resources is not a part of the rules mechanic really. It's setting the mood for it being a game where you have nothing, you have no hopes, you have no prospects, and what you need to do is travel from place to place where there actually is some food left. And in those places, you go to those places and tell the old tales of the sagas and the myths. And because you're a skald, you're a kind of a bard. A skald is a Viking Age bard, basically, who tells the stories of the Edda and of the sagas. So the characters are skalds who tell stories in exchange for, food, basically.
Absolutely.
Which will be a good segue into what you'll be playing.
Yes, you read my mind. It's almost like we discussed what we were going to talk about.
Almost.
So, if everyone is playing a skald, and skalds are just bards or poets, then how can you have classes? There's one class. It's a skald, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, the thing is that skald, everyone being a skald, you're not like a company of bards just going around, because we don't have classes. The Mork Borg original game has classes, but we've changed that to backgrounds.
Yes,
because skalds, like telling stories, that's just what you do now.
Yes.
And you basically have no mechanical thing connected to you being a skald now. that's more of a narrative thing. So what you have instead of classes are backgrounds. Who were you before the world ended? Were you a berserker? Were you a ship navigator? Were you a hunter? Were you a thief? Were you a thrall? The slaves that the Vikings kept. You know, were you a jarl, an earl? You know, so depending on what you were before, you get a starting talent, and you get to start with one ability being quite high. So that's what you get from, and then you also get an iconic item. Those three are the things that you get from your background, and they will help you along. And when you have characters choosing different backgrounds, they will complement each other, because the hunter will be able to take food or water that's poisonous and actually, you know, make it edible or drinkable, while an explorer will be able to find the way in this like wasteland, which will mean that you will face fewer obstacles when you're traversing the land. The berserker, of course, will be able to resist pain well, so we'll be able to be strong, and and through this we also like, so that's the characters basically. They are skalds, but that's not like all they are. That's just who they happened to end up to be, because we also want the skalds to investigate, like the scenarios, the adventures are set up as investigating rumors about these old sagas and myths, because when they're telling these tales, it will be good for them to know the truth behind the tales. So if they're investigating a rumor about Thor when he goes out with this the giant who takes him out fishing for the Midgard snake Jormungandr, like one rumor is to go to that giant's fishing house and examining, like, you know, what happened here. It's not a Call of Cthulhu type of investigation. You're not going to gather a bunch of clues. You're going to follow a rumor to a place, and shit is going to happen, and you're going to have to try and survive. And in the end, you'll get perhaps some more answers. And there is a meta plot, because we discussed this, that some of the Mork Borg games have, you know, lost this touch of you're a worm, you're no one, and you have no hopes. But we're trying to bring that back, or trying to be a game that leans into that. So this is not a game where you wield Mjolnir and you fight the Fenrir wolf. There are other games that are also Mork Borg third-party products who do that. But absolutely, we want to stay true to the Mork Borg like original thought. Yeah. So you investigate rumors about Norse gods, but you don't fight them, or you don't, you know. Yeah. There's no hope. If you want to try and fight Fenrir, sure, but you're just going to die. It's not going to be any point to it.
Bad doggy.
But there is a meta plot. If you want to like adjust the epic-o-meter just a tad, there is a meta plot, because the Christian god looked at Scandinavia, and to be able to burn it, to be able to raise it, to be able to kill all its people, first he had to fetter the Aesir and Vanir, the Norse gods and goddesses. Mm-hmm. So all the old Norse, like Thor and Tyr and Frey and Freya, Odin, like they're all fettered in hell. So Hel, which is like one of Loki's children, has made a deal with the Christian god that she buys her freedom by helping him fetter the Aesir and Vanir down in hell.
She sucks.
So there is a meta plot that you can add, that like the more truths you discover about the sagas and myths,
Yeah.
the weaker you're able to weaken these fetters, and you're able to give some power back to the Aesir, and then in the end, maybe they'll they'll escape. If that's the
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
game you want to do, like we're adding that as a kind of meta plot, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the like rules mechanics, really.
No, but it gives a fantastic potential campaign goal, doesn't it? So
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, over time.
And
Um,
there's also, of course, because there's the calendar of Nehrubel in Mork Borg, where you roll a die each day to see if the world ends today.
yeah, I always forgot to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Because you often do one shots, which means
Yes.
that it's probably never going to happen,
Mm.
But if you do campaigns, it's an excellent little piece of mechanic. We're adding that. We're adjusting that to our games. So in our
Mm.
game, that kind of countdown, because I mean the world has already ended.
Mm.
So our countdown is not the world ending. Our countdown is Christianity completes its hold on Scandinavia. So like everyone's a Christian. So
Yeah.
there's no one you
Yeah.
can tell these tales to in exchange for food. There's no one that will accept you if you're a pagan.
Yeah.
So if that countdown is like reached, then an archangel comes down from the heaven to the party and says, "Okay, bow, get baptized, or
Yeah.
spend eternity in hell. Either way, you lose the game. You can't cheat an archangel and be like, yeah, sure, we'll get baptized. We'll trick him because like either you. So that ends the game, just as the calendar of Nehrubel does in the Mork Borg original game, because we thought that would be a fun way of like one final choice. Like, does your character become a Christian in heart, or do you stay true to your pagan ways and spend eternity in the Christian hell?
Literally a successful Christian mission.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also in the meantime, we also have this power struggle between Christianity and paganism, because the main antagonist, if you're going to do this like in a campaign way, is Ansgar, which is the historical bishop who Christianized, he baptized a few, like the king of the Svear. He's an historical figure in every history book in Sweden. There's Ansgar in this kind of timeline that they have in the bottom, like history books.
Yeah.
He's always there with like his bishop's robe and stuff like that, because he's attributed to be the one who Christianized Sweden.
Right. Yeah. That worked
So
really well, by the way. He did a really good job.
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It took him a bit longer than it should, but
Didn't last either.
didn't last either. Exactly. Yeah. No. So he and his priests are the antagonists, because they are looking for pagans to convert. So they also traverse the land, just as the Skalds, the party of player characters. They traverse the land, searching for myths and sagas. Ansgar, he sends out his priests, and sometimes he even goes out himself in person to try and find pagans to convert. So if that happens, you'll have to choose like fight or flight, depending on what your strengths and weaknesses are as a group.
Super cool. Just going back a little bit, and the things that you brought over from
Mhm.
Mork Borg. Is there magic?
Yeah, exactly. In Mork Borg, there are scrolls that you can use for magic. We have, in my opinion, a super cool.
I agree, by the way.
Thank you. A super cool. What do you call it? Conversion of that. Because there are 24 Futhark runes in the Germanic rune system, and we have 24 ribs.
Yes.
So what happened was that just before the Aesir got fettered, Odin, the All-Father, who is of course the master of magic in the Norse mythology, he inscribed spells
Mm-hmm.
on each rib of Sigurd Fafnir's Bane, the great hero of the old sagas, and Wagner used that for his Nibelungen and the Ring saga and all that. So Sigurd, this great hero, he lies on like a funeral pyre, and Odin inscribes his ribs with magical Fudark runes, and then he spreads those ribs and runes out. He scatters them out over Scandinavia. So as you go along, you can find these ribs,
Mm-hmm.
because the Vikings often wrote these runes on, we call them staves. We haven't written 24 spells. We've written, I think, 16, something like that, because the actual Fudark runes that were used by the Vikings were not 24. They were only 16 or 18 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we've tried to make spells out of those, because each rune has like a magical definition. It has like a connection with something. Like the first one, Fa, which has a connection to like cattle. So then the spell for that rune would like allow you to put like a blessing on some livestock,
Okay.
which would make them survive and actually, become fertile, and actually, so you could like help someone grow their livestock. In exchange for that, you could get food and stuff like that. Of course, you can't traverse a post-apocalyptic landscape with livestock with you in tow, but you can use it to barter with a local lord or jarl or whatever.
That's very cool. And we're
But then,
bringing.
of course, there are some combat stuff as well. But yeah, we really try to stay true to what the actual meaning of the rune is. So out of these 16, it's not like 10 or 12 of them are combat ones. They're very narrative, because I personally like a very narrative approach to RPGs, which is not really the Mork Borg way. So that's where I think the big difference, if a Mork Borg player would play Yggdrasil Burns, the biggest difference would be that this is less of a dungeon crawl OSR game and more of a narrative game. We are trying to keep like dungeon crawling and OSR relevant in the game. So it's going to be much more dungeon crawly than any other game that I will ever make.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we still want to stay true to that, but we still want every dungeon crawl to have like a narrative importance.
Yes. Yeah. No, that will work really well, I think. And already I'm imagining the kind of how I might build a dungeon in this world and what that will look like. We can discuss that in the green room. You can steal my ideas, and you probably had the same ones anyway. Also in this game we have omens, which is going to be cool. I think omens
they
are
work
great fun.
basically exactly the same as in the original game.
Yeah. And
you can re-roll a roll, or you can cancel a crit that you get against you. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah. For anyone who hasn't played Mork Borg, the mechanics are great, in my opinion. I really enjoy this kind of game. They are player facing. So as a GM, if you are indeed the GM, you can focus on telling the story to a larger extent, because you probably will roll dice every now and then, perhaps if you're thinking about something that's going to happen, or if you need to determine what's in a room, because sometimes when your players enter an area, there might be multiple things that could happen, and a die roll can determine that. But when it comes to things like combat, if a player fails the roll, they might not hit. If a player fails the roll, they will be hurt.
Yeah. So you don't roll to hit the players; they roll to dodge the monster's attack.
Yeah.
So the only dice you're going to roll in combat are damage dice, which
Good
for
point.
some GMs is
that.
the best kind of dice to roll against your players.
And to be honest with you, if you want to be really cruel, you can let your players roll the damage dice, particularly if it's in person and you can see what they've rolled.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
just make them feel like miserable worms.
Yep.
And and there's poison as well, as we discussed. Everything is toxic. I'm really excited by this, to be honest with you. I think it's great.
Thank you.
And
we've gotten great responses. Every play tester we sent it to, every podcaster that has been, planning to do an actual play of it, they've all been like super excited. I think the best comment we've gotten was from Amanda, one of the cast members of Sweden Rolls, my podcast. She was like, "I'm not into Vikings. I'm not into like low crunch games. I want a lot of rules. I want crunchy games. I'm not into Mork Borg, but after having looked for 5 minutes at the alpha, I haven't been as excited for a new game in a long time." And I mean, like, you can't get better praise than that, from someone who actually should not like this game for 3 different reasons, and still she gets super excited. So we're very happy with what we're like, with the way we're going.
Yeah, it's great. And as I said, for me, there are not many games that really embrace their. I mean, it's a fictionalized, but they have the heritage, if you like. And most of the kind of Viking games are very high fantasy and super heroic, and don't even take the kind of the necessarily the historical background of why these things are happening into account. And I do feel that it would be very easy to delve into the genuine history of that time and bring that in as kind of a genuine setting for the game, and then just tweak the last bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, all locations that we use on the map are historical locations.
Yes.
Every single one.
Yeah, it's great. So you have places like Uppsala, Hedeby. Yeah, it's just great. You can easily superimpose this, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, and can I just add one thing that I'm really proud of? Because
I'll go on then. No one you're pouting.
There's like a leveling up system. They're not levels in Mork Borg, but there's like an improvement and deprovement, or whatever you call it. So every time you end the scenario, you roll to increase your hit points. You roll to increase or decrease your abilities, which are like the stats that you use when you make rolls, like skill rolls, like rolls to make tests, as they call them in Mork Borg. And each test has a difficulty rating, so you roll a d20 and you add or subtract a bonus that you have for that ability. So in Mork Borg, you roll for your abilities to see what abilities you get. I'm a big fan of allocation. So you allocate -3, -2, -1, +1, +2, and then your background will give you a +4 to start with. But so when you finish a scenario in Mork Borg, you roll a d6 to see if you roll above your stat, then you improve it. So all your minuses are basically going to go up. The only thing is, if you roll a 1 on a d6, you decrease it by 1, even if like you have a minus.
Yeah.
So we've kept that because I think that's a really fun way of doing it, because that means your stats are going to like jump up and down. Initially, they're going to go up a lot more than they go down, which will make you feel that you're improving. So we also kept the you roll a d6 or d8, slips my mind right now, to improve your hit points. But then, since we've added talent as a like very Free League inspired, each character starts with a talent that only you can do, and so you get to choose a new talent as well. but up to a maximum of 4. As soon as you get 4 talents, you have to like replace one if you want to. But you do this, you get these increases, you get these new powers by going to a rune carver. You know, these huge rune stones that we have all over Sweden and Scandinavia. So were also said to be like magical, and many of them are just like, oh, Harald went to Miklagård, which was Istanbul. Harald went to Miklaborg. Olaf, his father, made the stone. That's all they say, basically. My son went there and he died, and I made the stone for him. There's a lot of that, you know.
Yeah.
So the rune stones were for basically writing up, this person did this cool thing. So in this game, you go to a rune carver, and you have the rune carver inscribe your deeds on a rune stone. And the magic of the rune stones, the magic of your deeds actually being put on writing on stone, that's what's giving you the power to get better, to get more powerful, to get, you know, or not more powerful, less crappy.
Really.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of that mechanic, because we're still keeping basically the exact mechanic that the core game has, but we have a reason for why you get it, which I really like.
Narrative,
again, a narrative, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you want to play that out, if you want to have that rune carver as an NPC that is super quirky or super, you know, whatever, you do that, or you just, you know, abbreviate it and say, okay, you go to a rune carver. He carves it, and you get better. Roll your dice, or you can role play the entire trip going there. You can role play meeting this person and convincing him that your story is worth being put to stone.
I love it, and yeah, I think I would have to do that in role playing. I think that would be a lot of fun.
It would be a lot of fun.
Particularly if you have the dice rolling during the conversation, and then you can, if there's a bad roll, then you can kind of think about, okay, why has this gone wrong? What happens when he's carving the rune that screws up your stat?
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, it's on Kickstarter right now. There are a number of pledge levels supporting all kinds of budgets. We should talk very quickly about those. Do you remember them off the top of your head?
The first one is a digital Skald. You just want the PDF. I think that's one is about 150 Swedish kroner, just over 10 British pounds. And then we have the Skald, which is just a standard book for a little under 300 kroner, maybe like 24 British pounds or something like that. And then we have Vanir, which is only the limited edition one, the one that's going to be in faux leather and a bunch of like metal foil and extra cool stuff. That one, actually, as you said, that's a limited edition one. That one will not be available outside of this Kickstarter, except that we will probably print just a few extra copies to sell at conventions. But it won't be available in any like web shop or, you know, any kind of stuff like that. And we won't have it for upcoming Kickstarters either, probably. So that's that one. And then we have the Aesir, which is you get a copy of each of the books. You want a standard copy to use for playing, and then you want a limited edition one for your collection or for special occasions. And then we have the highest one, which is the Valkyrie, where you get both books, you get a sticker, you get a cloth patch, you get a signed art print by Johan Noor. He will sign the art prints, and you get a copy of My Father's Sword. You get every single unlocked physical stretch goal. So if we come up so high that we will reach a custom-made dice set that Lindorm Dice will make for us, it's going to be very cool. It's going to be like burnt ash with some kind of fire glow to it. Like an ember that is almost gone out. There's just a little bit of glow left in it. That's what we're aiming for with that. And a GM screen, which is like just amazing. It's going to look amazing. It's going to have all the things. Like, I think many GM screens are so bad because the information on them are stuff that you will need once. And once
exactly.
only. So
here is a table that you'll use in the end of the fifth session.
Yeah, or in character creation even.
Yeah.
And that's like, why do you have that? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You need stuff that you need on the spot, that you need often, if not every session, then every other session.
Yep.
That's the kind of stuff you want on your GGM.
Exactly. Those quick reference tables that you actually use all the time.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if a good GM screen has a picture on the side that's facing the players, that's really, really setting the tone.
Yeah.
I like that. And that's what we're doing. We have like a panorama picture of a barren wasteland, which is just, it's glowing red. Everything is dead.
Yeah, I love how much attention to detail you're putting in. So we at the Dark Orb, other YouTubes and podcasts are available. We have been known to refer to that top tier as the fill level.
Nice.
I mean, it's not that I collect games and then sometimes read them, but I collect games and sometimes I read them. But the reality is, speaking as a person who understands the reality of financial struggles, let me tell you what I would do as a person who wants to back this game. My decision here would be if I'm really low on funds, I would obviously go for the digital level. Or if you've got no space because you live in a tiny apartment in central Stockholm, then maybe that digital level is going to be the best one for you. From there, though, in all honesty, if you can afford it, I would suggest trying to go for the limited edition. And I know it's a big jump from the digital to the limited, but the reality is that this game will be available in standard edition and won't really be available in limited. So I would recommend personally, if you're on the fence about backing this, I would go for the limit. And the reason for that is threefold. One is I really want this game to succeed, and I think it's going to be amazing, and I want it to do well. The second is I have supreme buyer's remorse, or non-buyer's remorse, for cancelling my limited edition pledge of Mork Borg first time round. And that was a purely financial decision at the time.
Yeah.
And it's probably my biggest regret in role-playing, in kickstarting role-playing games, because that game was amazing, and we knew it would be. And yeah, it was impossible to get hold of that afterwards, really.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a game that I'm biased. Yes, you can take this as a testimonial, but I feel that there is something special about this game, and I want to have that complete set of things. Plus, it comes with a patch by the looks of things. I presume that's going to be a stretch goal or something, but we like patches. As an old rocker, patches matter.
No, the patch is only available. It's not a stretch goal. It's available from start, but it's only available at Valkyrie level.
Right. Well, there you go. I have to have that. So, but yeah, actually,
and I mean, if we reach the stretch goals with dice set and GM screen, the Valkyrie level is going to be a fucking, pardon my French, bargain.
Bring it on. This is a British channel.
Like it's worth everything you get from the start.
Yeah.
But you, like, as we go through stretch goals, the worth of it is just going to increase and increase and increase.
Absolutely.
And that's how I feel as a backer of, like, I've backed 35 Kickstarters or something like that. And for me, I feel like that's what you want. You want to be able to get it. If you get a high tier on a Kickstarter, you want the value of your reward level to increase. You want to feel like it's Christmas every other week. Like, oh, all of a sudden I get this as well for the same amount of money that I've already pledged. That's the way I want Kickstarters to work.
And there are some other creators and publishers. I'm not going to mention any names, but one of them is huge and in Sweden, where many of the stretch goals in many of the products really don't feel like stretch goals, because if you know what you're looking at, it's like they were going to do that anyway.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's kind of, I mean, it's a an illusion of value.
Yeah.
And I genuinely feel like the Valkyrie tier on this, I mean, the more successful this product is, the less money you're giving Andreas.
Yeah,
because
you're giving yourself more and more.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's make Andreas have less profit in this game.
Yeah, exactly.
On a per unit basis, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this is going to be amazing. Andreas, as always, it has been amazing. Thank you so much for this incredible rundown of Yggdrasil Burns.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Never enough. Always want you back. This is obviously live on Kickstarter. The link is down below. Also, check out My Father's Sword.
Yeah, check it out.
I guess it's probably available in retail in Sweden right now.
In Sweden, yeah.
Alpha Spiel.
Alpha Spiel ships basically worldwide, so you could check it out there. Or even better, go to your friendly local game store and ask for the game.
Yeah,
and ask the retailer to get in touch with Nordic Skalds. That would be the best one, because we want to get our games out to retailers, because that will save you a lot of money.
Do it now. Whilst people are waiting for their retailer to get their copies of your incredible books, including including My Father's Sword, including Traces of Darkness, the first section of Horn of the Dawn for Dark Orb, Demona, or Dragonbane.
Yeah.
Where else can people find you?
You can find my podcast called Sweden Rolls, wherever podcasts are found. You can find my soundtracks on YouTube Music, Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you listen and buy your music. I have a bunch of RPG soundtracks out, and I'll have more coming. I made a New Year's resolution to release 12 albums this year. So I have like 7 or something out now, and I'm going to get that up to close to 20.
Yeah, that's super cool. And yeah, Andreas, for anyone who doesn't know, has produced many incredible official role-playing soundtracks. So yeah, we will make sure that, as pointed out, the link will be down below for all of these things. If you'd like to come and talk to us, then please do come and talk to us in Discord. If you want to talk to Andreas and the Sweden Rolls team, if you like, on Discord, then become a patron over at Patreon. Is that still a thing? Yes?
Yes, of course. We have a Discord for our patrons at $10 and above tiers.
Do it. And yeah, check out the podcast. It's amazing. It remains to be my favorite actual play podcast. I'm terrible with listening to podcasts, but the one actual play podcast I always come back to is Sweden Rolls.
The one actual play you actually listen to.
Yeah. I mean, I've got others that I'm subscribed to, but there's only one that I listen to. Although we are way behind, to be fair. It's what we tend to do also when we're painting miniatures. We'll put Sweden Rolls on.
Yeah, it's nice.
But I haven't done that in a while. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Please hit like, please subscribe, please come and talk to us. And until next time, I hope your dice rolls are better than mine. Thank you, Andreas. Take care.
Thank you. Goodbye.